Good morning, YouTube. Let's go do our morning coffee run. I'm just gonna let the computer go wherever it wants to go. I'll check out the Sentry mode event when we get back, I guess. All right. So FSD doesn't back up out of the driveway or even drive me into the driveway, but just gonna do most of the rest of it. Alright, so if you've never seen an FSD video, after the new software update, if I push this down once, the car is now driving. The blue line is your path planner. Every once in a while I'll have to touch it, so I kind of usually just leave my hand on it. If I want to take over, I can brake it pretty hard. So twist the steering wheel pretty hard and take over, or use the brake, or push this lever back up. So this is actually a 2-lane road, and it's telling me it's like apply slight turning pressure. Basically, it wants to make sure you're aware and paying attention. It's also a little rainy out, so we'll see if that affects it at all. I don't suspect that it will. Sometimes it'll blink blue, telling me to pay attention or whatever. But pretty much as long as this blue line there, so it always gets confused here actually. This little island, it's got the blinker on, trying to turn, it doesn't know what to do, but it always figures it out too. This time of day when there's no traffic, it doesn't make me nervous at all. There's a little traffic coming. Alright, slight turning pressure. Alright, see when it flashes blue, that's just telling me to put some pressure on the steering wheel. As long as this blue line's showing though, this car is in control of everything. It always makes me nervous here because it doesn't creep far enough forward. There you go. Look at that, got it right. Nice. Oh, we got a car pulled over here on the side of the road. We're just going to apply right by him. Alright. Changing lanes because we got to be in the turning lane up here eventually. It's nice to see it make that lane change early. Sometimes this lane change decisions are not always optimal. It'll wait a little too late. I prefer, I prefer it to be a lot earlier when it's self-driving mode. When I'm driving, like other asshole drivers, I'll be out there trying to speed up to the last section, cut in. But when the car is actually in control, I prefer it to drive properly. The software is really good, you guys. This is 11.4.4. There's probably not going to be really any more updates that I get until 12. I know that a few people have 11.4.7 or whatever. But from what I can tell from watching the videos and stuff, it doesn't seem like it's really much different than 4.4. And this is pretty good. Some curves, like this turn, it usually does this really well. It kind of moves right through it like it's supposed to. Other times it has a little hesitation to make the decision to go into the intersection and then kind of pause. I almost always give it accelerator when it does that. It makes me nervous. I think a lot of the things that they're probably working on now are just making it kind of more human-like in the way it drives, so we don't confuse other humans. For a long time there's a phantom braking problem, and I've had it happen a little bit, more like a phantom slowdown. And the problem is you're just cruising along at 50 and the car slows down to 30 and somebody might run into the back of you. I haven't had that happen in quite a while at this point. So yeah, they're making really good progress. This is exciting stuff. Alright, we got the green light coming in. We're making, see, this is a solid turn. Like, you kind of accelerated right through the turn. There was no hesitation. Good job, car. That's exactly what we want to see. Alright, so we're coming in to the backside of Whole Foods parking lot. I'm always kind of amazed because it navigates this particular section of the parking lot pretty well. But it doesn't typically do parking lots all that well. So this is kind of a screwy spot. Like, it slows down for the speed bump, and then right after the speed bump, I think it's going to stop for the stop sign. Yeah, that's alright. Nice and careful though. Kind of creeping through the parking lot. If this was like midday and there's people all over, this would be the appropriate speed. to come through this parking lot. Alright, it's a little confused. It's got the blinker. I'm not sure what it's doing. So up here, it always wants to go into the drive-thru. I'm going to take back over because we have a call-in order. I'll walk in here and get some food real quick, and I'll be back. Alright. I have got myself a nice black coffee and my lovely wife a nice coffee. She's not going to be awake for a few minutes. So we're going to take a cruise out to Wayside Inn and just do kind of a morning FSD cruise and chat. Let's see if this thing will navigate us out of the parking lot. Nah. Said no dice. Hey, there it goes. Alright, don't run into those cars in front of us. Turn. It definitely gets confused in parking lots, guys. Alright, I'm gonna take it back off FSD. So you can see right there, all I had to do was just kind of grab the steering wheel pretty hard, firm enough against it, and I was back in control. It definitely gets a little confused in parking lots. Get us started, and then I'll just kick it up into FSD and let it take us. Right. Drive out to Wayside Inn. I don't know how many of you guys watched the Cybertruck release event yesterday. 2 days ago, actually, excuse me. Pretty excited for this truck. A little disappointed in how expensive it is, but I also understand, right? Production is really limited right now, and they might as well overcharge for them because people are going to pay it. So at least Tesla makes the money and not, some random third party just reselling it. I think we're probably going to make this turn up here pretty soon. Which dead. Pretty close though. It slowed down on that crosswalk, so I gave it a little bit of accelerator. Let it come into this turn, do its thing. The car behind me is getting pretty impatient, but it's early in the morning on a Saturday. If you notice, most of the videos that I put up are kind of off traffic hours. It's not that the car won't drive in traffic, it actually does. On the highway, it's amazing actually. But around town when there's traffic, it just annoys people. The car kind of drives like an old lady. That's what I call old lady mode sometimes. And I'm interested in the technology, but I'm not really interested in being the person that just annoys everybody around me because my car is driving like a grandma. You see it's making this decision. It's getting in the right lane over here. I do keep my hand touching the steering wheel, guys, but I'm not actually steering it. If you know much about FSD. A little nervous here. There's cross traffic coming. It's still creeping. I'm gonna hope my foot is hovering over the brake at all times. All right, looks like we got a clean go. It's taking it nice. That was kind of an unusual slowdown right there. That was a little strange. What are we doing here? This is kind of jagged. That was not a very smooth. I don't know if you call that an X around. I don't really know what you call that kind of turn. It wasn't very smooth. That's what it wasn't. That's one thing I know. It wasn't very smooth. Come on, car. Touch it. Yeah, I don't have to touch all those there. So I can also, like this right now, max of 32 and at 30, I can bump this up. Say, go ahead and go 35. basically give my car permission to speed. So anyway, back to the Cybertruck. I'm pretty excited about it. It's kind of a polarizing truck. I mean, people either love the thing or they hate the thing. I was on the fence when I first saw it, to be honest. I was kind of like, it is kind of ugly. And it is kind of ugly. But it's also kind of cool, right? Like Elon says, the future should look like the future. Well, the Cybertruck looks like it should literally be driving around on Mars. Good job, car. Good job. A lot of times when it's turning, I just let it run through my hands. That way it can feel some pressure. I know I sound like a broken record, but as long as that blue line is up there, this car is fully in control of what it's doing. So, you know, the Cybertruck's polarizing. People love that thing or hate it. One thing it is for sure is a highly capable vehicle. You know, it's like 11,000 pound towing. They showed a video of that thing doing like a truck pull. We have this big sled behind it, and it outperformed an F350 diesel, which is, if you don't know much about trucks and towing, an F350 diesel is, you know, as far as just buying a stock truck off the shelf, it's probably the best. This thing stops at stop signs, by the way. I mean, all the way stops. Elon and gang said that when they're collecting all the video footage to train the neural network, only 0.5% of drivers come to an actual complete stop at a stop sign. And so I started paying attention when I'm driving. I never actually come to a complete stop. Like I slow down a lot, but the car's kind of got some motion that I keep going with. This thing actually stops like it's supposed to. But yeah, the Cybertruck's got some impressive characteristics. I believe 0 to 60 is like 2.3 or 2.4 seconds, something like that. Incredibly fast. Fast enough that they took a, you know, base trim level Porsche 911 and drag raced it against the Cybertruck, and the Cybertruck won. The Cybertruck was also towing a base level 911 at the time that they did the test. So the Cybertruck beat a Porsche 911 in a quarter mile while it was towing a Porsche 911. Now some of you are probably like, well, nobody needs to do that. Well, clearly nobody needs to do that. I think it's just kind of showing the overall performance characteristics of the vehicle. Same with the sled tow. I mean, how many guys are actually going to put their truck out there and you know, tow one of these sleds and see what it can really do? You know, where it's going to be limited is still the range, right? You know, the base range on it was like 330, 340 in that range, and that's definitely good. That's very similar to what this car is. This, you know, this gets us to Albany and back. But if you're using it to tow, you know, you're going to get a pretty big decrease in range, just like they did with the F-150 Lightning. You know, it's not going to be any different for the Cybertruck. Towing is going to put a damper on the battery. And other people will say, well, yeah, but it does it to gas cars too, and that is true. The big difference here is that when you have to stop and refill up your gas car on a long journey, towing something, it's pretty easy to drive through a normal gas slot with your trailer attached. You're not going to be able to do that at a Tesla supercharger where you have to back in to charge. So if you were going to tow something long distance with like a Cybertruck, it might be a little unpleasant. So it's a little confused by that stop sign over there. There's nobody around, so I'm going to let it figure it out. Yeah, it shouldn't have stopped there, but normally I would have just given it some accelerator. But again, this is like 7 a.m. on a Saturday, so there's nobody around. So, you know, I'm an EV fanboy. I mean, I'm a Tesla fanboy. I will own that completely, but I'm also not so naive to think that these things solve every single use case yet. I believe that they will. But on a longer, even if you're not towing something, on a long distance journey, when you have to stop and recharge these things or refill these things, you know, it can take 30 minutes or so, and that's a lot. And so Elon's argument is, well, every 3 hours on a long journey, you're going to want to stop and stretch your feet and get something to eat. Yeah, maybe, but stopping for 30 minutes every 3 hours, it'll make a cross-country commute take a lot longer. And so those things are true. So it's, gosh, guys, like almost everything in life, it's a system of trade-offs. For the vast majority of the time, in case you guys don't know, this is my wife's car. It's gonna fly over the speed bump. It's my wife's car. I just like to drive it all the time and do these videos. For our use cases, like 99% of the use cases, she drives it to work, drives around town, comes home and plugs it in. The only time we really need a supercharge is if we go to Albany. Is it going to slow down for this? Slow down for this? It didn't really slow down for that too much. I guess a little bit. So Albany's what, about 150 miles away? So we could probably go there and back. We typically go there and go see friends, so we'll stop at a supercharger in Albany and top it back up. Put it back to like 80%, and then head home. It's incredibly convenient. The supercharger when we go is we really only need like 10 or 15 minutes worth to get us, kind of top back up, and then we can make it back home where we can plug it in. So it is a little less convenient. Like the supercharging, with my Jeep, I can go from an empty tank to a full tank in 5 minutes at any gas station anywhere around. With these guys, we have to find superchargers, which is incredibly easy to do. I should show you on the map in a second. You can figure it out, car. Again, the car's a little confused. I'm letting it do its thing. I am just, these are somewhat confusing roads. These are Massachusetts back roads, and things aren't always marked perfectly, and that's what it is. The speed limit's 20 through here. Alright, looks like I'm gonna make this turn. Nice. Nice work, car. I'm gonna give it a little more speed than 20 miles an hour. I'm not sure why people make speed limits like 20 miles an hour. We're in the middle of nowhere. 20 mile an hour speed limit. And now it's 25, so there's that. But I'm not in a hurry, so we'll let it do its thing. So, anyway, back to general use case scenarios for EVs. I think for the vast majority of people, even the 250 mile rear wheel drive Model 3 or Model Y, somewhat that 250 mile range, I think, or 280, something like that. That's way more range than most people need for like 95% of everything they do. And let's say you're going somewhere that's round trip's is going to just be over, like it's going to be 330 miles. You don't have to stop and fill up at a supercharger, guys. You can stop, and in 5 minutes you can add 100 miles of range. So now it's kind of equivalent to being in a gas vehicle. You're just going to stop, and instead of filling it up, you're just going to top it up. Superchargers cost more. It's about 45 cents per kilowatt hour. At home, I think we're paying 30 cents per kilowatt hour. So it's definitely cheaper. And I'm just going to point out a bug here really quick. When you're in FSD mode, you have to have the windshield wipers in auto mode, meaning that it will determine when it's going to do it. This time of day, consistently, on every single video I put out, you guys will see that the windshield wipers freak out. So I'm going to see if I can convince this thing to like chill out a little bit. Let's see if that does it. I'm definitely going to have to buy a new pair of windshield wipers. There's really no reason for the windshield wipers to be going. Maybe it'll turn them off eventually, but I don't think so. And for what it's worth, guys, this has nothing to do with dirt on the window, fog. It's not that. It's unrelated. It's something primarily about this time of day. I have done, when we did the commute back and forth to Albany and FSD, I didn't do that once. It looks like it finally figured it out. Must be happy that it's wiped whatever imaginary substance was on the window off. So in case you don't know, there's like, in this area, there's 3 cameras sitting in here that look out to the front. So you got 3 cameras facing that way. This is your rear camera facing straight out. These are your 2 side cameras, kind of showing your blind spot cameras. There's 2 other cameras I can't show you right now. They sit on the pillars, looking straight out to the sides. It's a little confusing here. There was no real reason for a blinker there, but better safe than sorry. At the end of the day, we're cruising these little windy New England back roads, having a cup of Joe. A lot of people are really skeptical of electric vehicles. The things I hear people say about them, oh, their batteries are awful in the winter. I don't think that's going to be true at all. If everything I've read suggests that's not going to be the case. I mean, this will be my first winter with one, so I will have honest, actual first-hand experience and not just talk, based on what I read on the internet. things, you know, people talk, oh, they're going to catch on fire. If you actually look at the statistics here, there's a couple points to this. For one, just look at EVs as a whole compared to gas cars. Gas cars catch on fire significantly more often. Guys, they're literally rolling combustion engines. They're combusting as you drive down the street. So when there's a leak or something in the motor, when there's a wreck, it's pretty common. Make this turn right in front of this car. All right. It took it. It made it. I let it take it. Good job. All right. Our route is going to be ending up here. So I will reset us to go back home here momentarily. Let's see, what's some other crazy stuff I've heard people say about EVs that aren't true? They're crazy expensive. So I'm not gonna lie to you. Cars are expensive. The average cost of a new car in America today is about $48,000. Looked it up on Google the other day. By all means, look it up and double check. So I am just gonna take over for a second to go down here. Let's actually pull this back. Let's end the trip. Boom. And take us home. Alright, I may force its hand a little bit to choose a certain route, but we'll let it play out for now. The cost of it. So the average cost of a new vehicle is about $48,000, and these guys are pretty much in line. You know, before any tax savings or advantages or anything, any of the tax incentives for them, this car, I believe, was a $51,000, maybe $52,000 car. So really close to that 48. And then of course right now for the rest of this year there's a $7,500 tax rebate. You don't get that off the purchase price, you get that off your taxes next year. Starting next year you get $7,500 directly off the purchase price. So what people don't realize is that these cars are actually about the same price to buy now. With the tax credit, they're actually cheaper purchase price wise to buy than your average gas vehicle, and they cost significantly less to maintain over time. Now again, I'm regurgitating secondhand information. We've only owned the car for a couple months now, but there's no oil changes, there's no gas. Yes, I do pay for electricity, about 30 cents per kilowatt hour at home. From what I can tell, we are probably it costs us about 2/3 of what it would cost for gas, or maybe 3/4. It's kind of hard to calculate. The app kind of shows us, but we use a lot of electricity with a hot tub of stuff outside in the winter here. So they're about the same price to buy as your average new car. Coming in this corner, a little hot, make me a little nervous. Alright, nice, it's going to go straight across. That's what I wanted it to do. Good. But the cost of ownership should be a lot less. No oil changes. The gas is obviously cheaper. There's no like engine belts and stuff that can go wrong. No carburetor to tune. No, people will say, yeah, but what happens when the batteries fail? Well, when the batteries fail, they'll say that's $25,000 charge. Well, that is definitely what they used to cost. That was based on some sort of reality, but batteries are coming down in cost every single year at this point because the EV world's spinning up. Lithium mines are popping up. It's just the more you ramp up something, you get depreciating costs, and so or cost declines, not depreciating costs. And so that's what we're starting to see. I'm going to take over here a little bit. The car was going to do it, but it made me a little nervous coming by that dump truck, so I just kind of grabbed it and took over. So I believe today the cost of replacing the batteries is probably around $10,000. And my guess is by the time I would ever have to do that, we're talking like $3,000 to $4,000. Probably like the cost of replacing motor or transmission or something. But more importantly, the cars come with an 8-year or 120 to 150,000 mile drivetrain warranty. I mean, if anything happens battery-wise, they just replace it straight up. Lots of people on YouTube have posted videos of having these cars 200,000 miles, and yeah, so the main thing that happens is that the batteries will degrade over time. So you get 330 miles of range if you drive it EPA recommended speed limit at 60 miles an hour, or whatever the EPA standards are. Over the course of time, the battery's let's say in 5 years we'll have 90% of the 330. So we're like what, 280 or something. I'm not doing the math right in my head, but you know, and over time it will gradually decline. But again, this also happens to gas vehicles. People don't think about it as much, but yes, you know, over time your car is out of tune. But so there is a big difference here, right? You can take a gas car to a good mechanic. He can tune it back up, get your tire pressure stuff set right, your spark plug set right, and your miles per gallon would be back to pretty solid. Especially if they tighten the car back up and fix all this stuff. With an EV, you would have to replace some batteries to get your full miles, full range and stuff back. That part is real. You know, but most people don't keep a car for 10 years. And I don't think you're gonna have any problem with these batteries in the first 10 years. Now, again, I'm only 3 months into owning it, so you know, I will keep making these videos over time, and we'll see how that works out. We'll see if my hypothesis is right or wrong about that. The other thing is Tesla has been absolutely amazing to work with buying these vehicles, buying this vehicle. You know, you do it all online, which I'm going to be honest with you, like, I'm a software engineer. I live in the online world. I still found it a little strange to buy a car online. In fact, we went to the local Tesla store in the mall. We're lucky to have one, and just chatted the kids up there, and basically he kind of walked us through it, like, and it was exactly like I would have done at home. But whatever, maybe it's my age, guys. I'm just a little bit older, having somebody's like I'm actually buying a car from a dealer or something. But with that said, it's a superior experience, right? There's no bargaining, there's no dealing. This is the price of the car. Do you want it? Yes, I want it. Okay, here you go. And like, so you do it all online, and then they, you know, the car that we wanted wasn't ready, so it was gonna be a few weeks, like 3 weeks to take delivery. And during that period, we had time to like get photos of the car that we were trading in, fill out all the other stuff, secure financing and proof of insurance. All of it handled online through the Tesla app on your phone. When the car was ready, we showed up to the Tesla delivery center, and we were there a little longer than we were supposed to be, because our EV plate actually came out as, instead of an EV tag, it came out as a VE tag. The lady was like, well, you guys have kind of a unique tag. So it took a little bit longer. We were there for about an hour, showed up. We sat in the car while they took care of stuff. There's get to know your car training videos built into this thing, so we watched some of that, and, you know, just kind of got familiar with it. And then, you know, once they put the tag on it, they said, adios, amigos. We went about our way. All right, there's a car coming. All right. These kind of back roads make me a little nervous because, you know, a lot of people will drive pretty fast. They're kind of blind spots. So here we are with this 20-mile-an-hour speed limit again. Go ahead, buddy. I'll give you permission to speed a little bit. They have the people that live on this road have installed massive speed bumps, and I just don't really understand why you would do it. All right, let's go ahead and go a little faster than this. Oh, you know what? We're actually not on the road with speed bumps. That was earlier. The speed bump road is actually up that way to the left. It's like turning pressure. A lot of times I just like turn into the thing with it to give it the pressure. Other times I just let it do its thing. Most of the time when I'm actually, you know, really putting it through its paces, why do we slow down so much right there? Anyway, I usually just rest my hand on it. So buying the car through Tesla was amazing. You know, it's different than like normal cars. Like, there's no spare tire, but we have Tesla service. If anything goes wrong while we're driving this car, they just come right to us and fix a spare tire. If there's a service issue that they can't just push an over-the-air software update for, they will come to the car. In rare circumstances, we might have to take it to the service center if it's a major ordeal. But you know, it's different. Like this, you open the hood and it's a front. It's a trunk built into the front of the car because, well, there's no gas motor there. Yeah, I forgot about this. The speed bumps are on this part of the road. It flies a little fast on them. You know, I always hated the dealer experience of buying a car because, you know, they're always trying to figure out how to extract the most amount of money out of you and all this kind of stuff. And like, you know, the dealer's trying to make their commission. The guy selling you the car is trying to make his commission. The dealership he works for is trying to, you know, they're trying to make a markup on the cost of the vehicle being sold, and it's just all shady and sketchy. And You know, I'm a pretty simple consumer. I don't want to bargain with you. Give me your best price and I'll tell you if I can buy it or not. And that's kind of how Tesla does it. And I really appreciate that part of it. You also, it's kind of like Apple. You get like 3 choices. You want a Model 3, you got 3 choices of trim level. And there's no picking and choosing. So all of these kinds of things, some people would hate that. Like, I want to totally customize it. Well, the reason Tesla is the only profitable EV maker is because they have completely optimized the production and build of these vehicles, and they're not offering 15,000 different options. I'm sure that all of this kind of stuff will change in the future. I think eventually the other auto manufacturers, some of them, the ones that make it, will figure this process out. And then we'll get more competition in the world of EVs. Right now it's Tesla's world, and they completely own it. In the US, I believe they have 50 or 60% of the total EV market share. This year is about 2 million vehicles. At the same time, Ford and General Motors have scaled back plans to build their battery plants and trying to ramp up production until 2025. I'm a little worried about our American car companies. Tesla's an American company, so I'm not too worried about them, but I'm worried about these guys. Like, they need to figure it out, because you know, they can try to run the media all they want, say, oh, the world doesn't want EVs, it's too soon for EVs. They can say all they want about that. The data tells the truth. The data shows that EVs are being adopted about as fast as they possibly could all over the world right now. It's not just in America. And I get it, like the charging infrastructure in the middle of the country, in some parts of the country, not just the middle of the country, even some of the remote parts of, you know, the northern parts of the country, it's not the same. You know, around us there's freaking chargers everywhere. If I was to show, how do I get those chargers? So if I do that, this is a map showing, you know, superchargers within 3 miles, 3.1, 10, 9.1. We're kind of surrounded by them, so it's not a big deal where I live. In other places, it is a big deal. But I would also counter that within other places in the country we're talking about. Most people own homes and don't need superchargers very often. But be that as it may, it's a comfort thing, right? I didn't buy a Tesla when they first showed up around here. I wanted to make sure that I could get everything set up. You know, installing the home charger at home, the charger itself was about $1,000. I'm relatively comfortable doing electrical work myself, so I did all the wiring myself. Probably $200 worth of wire, good steady 6-gauge wire. I already had upgraded my panel to 220 a while back, and I had plenty of empty slots for a 220 breaker, 60-watt breaker, and then just ran the wire. And so I can point that out when we get home. You guys will see it. I mean, so far, I couldn't be happier with this car. I mean, it's, you know, I'm going to be honest, I love my Jeep. My Jeep's a cool vehicle, a lifted Jeep on 35-inch tires. Let's go around this guy. Should take this. Cool car. Being cautious around that human, but that guy's probably thinking I'm creeping on him because it didn't drive like a normal human just went around it pretty fast. This car is going to always be super cautious around humans for the obvious reasons, right? But in any event, I didn't really have to intervene. What I did do was just give it some acceleration. So in FSD, if I push the accelerator, it'll still handle that and drive, which is actually a cool feature, because, like I said, sometimes it just gets a little hesitant in an intersection or something, and it would just be better if it went faster. And so I can go ahead and give it an accelerator if I don't just outright take over. So where was I? Talking about just being happy with the car. You know, it's my wife's car. I'm a little bit envious. I love my Jeep. It's a fun vehicle in the summer. Take the top off, throw the surfboard on, go to the beach, you know, take it to the woods hiking. But I definitely have car envy. I'm just cruising around on FSD right now making these videos, but driving this car, like actually driving it's the most impressive vehicle that I have personally ever driven. I get it, other people have had access to DeLoreans or you know, not DeLorean, McLarens and Lamborghinis and Ferraris and stuff. I haven't. I've sat in one Ferrari once in my life. This car is an absolute beast though. Like 0 to 60 in, gosh, I don't know, like 3.4 seconds maybe, something like that. It's shocking how fast it is. Unless you've ever been in a car going that fast, like, you know, I mean, it just kind of pins you to the back of the seat, and it just keeps accelerating. So it's super fun to drive. It's got 2 motors, one for the front wheels, one for the back wheels. So it's exceptional handling. Like I haven't pushed it really to its limits all the way hard, but a little bit of cornering I've done in it, it handles it solid. It's just a really good driving vehicle. One thing you can probably hear from this video is there is a fair amount of road noise in it. It's not the quietest cabin, like some people have said. The overall driving experience is quite quiet because there's no motor sound. But I would imagine that, you know, some of the high-end Mercedes and cars like that you won't hear the road noise nearly at all like you do in this one. I don't really care about that. I'm honest. That kind of stuff is almost meaningless to me. So yeah, we really like it. You know, I have a pre-order for a Cybertruck, but I'm so late on that pre-order. It's probably going to be 2026 before I can get it. And so I'm trying to justify, you know, how I can buy another one between now and then, because they're just so freaking fun to drive. The regenerative braking is just amazing. The sensation of having, like, you almost never have to touch the brakes. You let off the accelerator and the car like power brakes itself in. And it's called regen braking. It's really cool. So I know lots of people out there are very, very skeptical of the electric vehicle future, and I want to be honest with you guys. Like, I'm pro EVs, but I'm really not a fan of the government trying to dictate that we're going to have full EV adoption by 2030 or 35 or something. That's ridiculous. We're definitely not going to be switching over to EVs that fast. Think about how many cars are on the road. Not everybody has money just to run out and buy a brand new car. Not everybody has, like, you know, if you live in an apartment, you know, the infrastructure is definitely not all the way there yet. Like, not all apartments have, you know, superchargers that you can use, and like, I'm of the strong opinion that we are for sure going to shift to electric vehicles as a society. And I believe it will eventually be 100% of all vehicles will eventually be electric. But there's no reason for the government to be involved in this. There's really not. The cost declines in making electric vehicles is going to drive this transition. These things are going to be cheaper to make, cheaper to own, cheaper to drive than equivalent gas vehicles. What the fuck is this thing doing? I'm going to give it some accelerator. It's a little confused right there. You know, and they are the only company anywhere in the world with cars that you can go buy that can drive around like this. And you just took a long trip with me. It's obviously not perfect, right? It has some weirdness the way it drives, like the way it just kind of paws right there, the way it does in some intersections. It's not perfect, but holy crap, this car drives itself, you guys. Like, it for real drives itself. It's really cool, and they're going to continue iterating on this. You know, I worked on neural networks 20 years ago in grad school. It's like rudimentary compared to where the world's at with them today. I am certain that Tesla solves this, and they're the only ones that will truly solve it. People screaming that you need LiDAR maps, no, you definitely don't. My brain has 2 eyes, 2 cameras sticking straight on the front of it, and my brain can drive this car just fine. This car has a brain and 8 cameras. They will solve it with vision, and they may or may not add sensors, you know, ultrasonic sensors or radar sensors and stuff back in once they've solved vision. Right, that's it, guys. But they will definitely solve it with vision first, and it's really close, as you can see. So, all right, guys, and that's our morning drive.